Hello, family and friends. Here's an update on our travels. After leaving Northern California, we explored the entire length of the Oregon coast, saw Crater Lake, and visited 5 groups of family and friends before returning home. The Oregon coast is absolutely beautiful, with its ruggedness, pristine beaches, and majestic lighthouses. Our strategy was to camp at a southern and then a northern location and explore up and down the coast from each spot. After driving through Coos Bay, we camped in the city of Waltport on an estuary known for its scrumptious crabs. Though we explored the coastline almost exclusively, one day we did drive inland to hike the Sweet Creek Trail, as recommended by the guidebooks. The western part of the state is so incredibly green and lush, so it was nice to actually get into the forest this one time. The Oregon coast has 10 lighthouses. These structures are magical. They warn ships away but draw tourists in like the sirens of Greek mythology. We explored and filmed 3 of them: Hasita Head, Yaquina Head, and Cape Meares. Few of these are still relied on by ships or local boaters, but most of them have been restored, along with the lighthouse keeper's house. The winds at Yaquina Head were blowing at least 60 miles an hour. We could hardly stand up, much less keep our COVID masks from blowing away. The state always provided lots of interesting information on the lighthouses. The Cape Meares Lighthouse had an alternating red and white flash. I don't know if the light would have penetrated this thick fog at night. Our second camping spot was actually in a grassy area next to the Tillamook Airport. They had 2 blimp hangars from World War II that were identical to the 2 built in Tustin. One of them burned down years ago. North of Tillamook, there are some fabulous beach towns. The beaches were swarming with people in the warm summer weather, and the cliffs were beautiful. This is the Lewis and Clark National Park, where they've reconstructed the fort that Lewis and Clark occupied at the end of their journey to the Pacific Ocean. Kristen had a chance to share some traveling stories here with the Sacagawea. Then we too found the Columbia River, which forms the boundary here between Oregon and Washington. In the historic city of Astoria, we had clam chowder and fish and chips at the famous Moe's restaurant. If you've never been to the Columbia River, it is huge. These giant freighters can travel about 100 miles upriver. We drove over the Astoria-Megler Bridge to Washington just to say we did, and then came right back. You can't stay in Tillamook without touring its famous creamery, where they make cheese and ice cream. Yep, here's where they cut the cheese. Another inland place we visited was Crater Lake National Park. It's quite a place. We camped outside of it in a national forest all by ourselves. And believe me, we were isolated miles and miles from anybody else. That was pretty fun. The lake itself is really deep, the deepest lake in America. And strangely, it is not fed by any tributaries. There's a huge amount of snow that falls in the area, and the snowpack just from the crater around the outside fills the lake every year. Within the national park, there are these strange formations, kind of a hoodoo type of a thing like in Bryce Canyon. The rest of our trip was spent visiting some of the people close to us, family and friends. Keep watching if you want to meet some of them. Donna Sears hired and trained me in commercial real estate finance. Without exaggeration, she is responsible for most of the good things in my life today. I will forever be indebted to her. She's also a great cook. We stayed on her husband Mike's family farm in Oregon City. They are a great couple and will be our lifelong friends. We also visited my cousin Susie and had dinner with her and her 3 fabulous children, Spencer, Jordan, and Tucker. After that, we drove to the northern border of Washington to visit my Uncle David and cousin Steve. They treated us like royalty. Then we headed toward home. Our first visit was my best bud from junior high and high school, Jeff Morton, and wife Debbie Morton. Unfortunately, we forgot to take pictures. And finally, we stopped in Wairika and visited my second cousin, Bill Hoberg, and wife Sharon. They have a beautiful place in the hills, and we had a wonderful time catching up. Altogether, this trip lasted 6 weeks, our first trip of length since we have both been retired. Now that we have tried out an extended trip, yes, we do want to do a lot more of this in the future. I'll end the video with some scenes from the Rogue River. Till the next trip, I'll say goodbye.